so I don't say much. Gotta show me what you made of. I'll be losing sleep until my days count. I can feel the fake from a mile away. Maybe I'm just going through my phases.
What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about how I started my first business at just 16 years old. How I started my own 7-figure agency and just a lot of really cool lifestyle things. But a question that I get a lot of times is, Cam, how did you start your first business? How can I start my own? And I feel like it could be really cool to talk about my experience of starting my first, online business and everything like that. So you guys can learn from some mistakes that I made and ultimately understand how I first started making, my first dollar online. So if you guys don't already know, I obviously do e-commerce. I have a brand, but that wasn't the first business model that I started. The first business model that I ever started at 16 years old was actually running Instagram theme pages. And what an Instagram theme page is, it's an Instagram page that has a high following count. And what they do is they typically sell, promotions, shout outs, literally anything that they can sell. And in my case, I had a business theme page. What I did was I was posting, 3 times a day. I was posting quotes. I was posting a bunch of business related content to get a business following. But I didn't learn this by myself. I actually paid a mentor $750 to teach me everything. And he was someone that had a couple pages over 100K followers, and he had one really big page that was about 300K followers. So I decided to learn from someone that already knew what they were doing so I could really learn as fast as possible. And this is something that I always preach. You guys shouldn't be trying to do everything yourself. Use all the free resources that you have. Use YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. There's so many ways for you to learn for free that there's no reason why you haven't made $1 online right now if you haven't yet. But for me personally, I really like paying for my knowledge. I think it's really cool to meet new people, talk to new mentors, and learn stuff that I haven't already knew before. So from learning that, I made my first couple $1,000s online at just 16 years old. And for me, this was a really big accomplishment because just at that time, I was still in school. It was my junior year. I was, not really liking school that much. And it was really cool that I was essentially making just as much as I was making at Starbucks. Because at this time, I was still going to school. I was doing track. I was, doing all that stuff. I was working at Starbucks 5 days a week. So being able to replace my job income at 16 years old was a really big accomplishment. And I really knew that there's a lot more opportunities out there online that I didn't know previously. And it was also a really big mindset switch for me because your mind is what's gonna get you farther in life. If you have a weak mindset, you're gonna have a weak outcome. You're not gonna really have a life that you want. So understanding and knowing that there's more out there is pretty much the first step in order, to even make your first dollar online and really become successful. So I was running my Instagram theme page for a little bit. I made around maybe like $10,000 from it. And that's not too much money, but for me at the time, being 16 years old, it was definitely a good first step to, really start making money online and understanding that there are the possibilities of doing more. And also I was getting connected to the right people, in the whole business space. And after doing that, that's when I stumbled across e-commerce. Obviously, as you guys probably already know from watching my podcast, my other YouTube videos, how I got into e-commerce was I paid my first mentor about $3,000, and that's how I essentially learned e-commerce for the first time. But I don't really want to talk about everything that I did past that. I really want to talk specifically on how I started my first business and a lot of things that I had to deal with, a lot of sacrifices that I had to make, and a lot of mindset switches that I really had to do in order, to reach that level and come in, and start making a little bit of money online. And I think a big thing that a lot of people deal with when starting to do something with themselves, whether you're starting, in e-commerce, whether you're starting an online business, whether you're starting literally anything that's not typically quote unquote normal, the hardest and most important thing is to understand that really the opportunities are endless. And to also understand that there's so much out there if you're just curious and you're willing to do your research. Because before I started my Instagram theme page business, I truly didn't know that making money online in that way was even possible. So the number one thing that you can do right now is be curious and learn from other people. Because learning from other people's mistakes is what's really gonna get you to that place that you want to as fast as possible. Because in life, you have to pay either two ways. You have to pay the price of money or you have to pay the price of time. And for me, I would rather pay money because you can't get time back. And I would rather save, you know, a couple years, you know, rather than a couple $1,000s. And another thing that I learned when starting my first online business is a lot of sacrifices have to be made in order to get what you want. Because when you're starting something, you're essentially taking free time away of other things that you're gonna do. Whether, it depends who you are, whether you were, you know, playing video games, whether you're doing whatever, whether you're watching movies, but you have to essentially sacrifice, you know, not just those things, but that's an example. And you have to sacrifice those things of, you know, fun, stuff that creates dopamine and stuff that you enjoy in order to have delayed gratification with your online business. Because when starting off, all you're doing is just learning how to do it. You're not really gonna be making money, so it's gonna be something that's gonna be hard to really get going. But for me personally, it wasn't too hard just to stick to it because I knew that there's a lot of possibilities out there. I knew there's money to be made, and I knew that my life could really change in a way that I wanted. I really didn't know how my life would change besides, you know, making some money online. But, you know, I'm glad I really started my first online business at 16 because now I'm 19 years old. You know, I have a whole e-commerce brand. I have a 7-figure agency that I'm running right now. And I moved out to Miami and, you know, I didn't have to go to college or anything. And this isn't, you know, flex or anything like that, but it's to truly have you understand that anything's really possible. Because even 3 years ago, you know, I wanted to go to college and, you know, I want to do all those things. I'm not going to tell you that, oh, I thought that, you know, I was going to do something at a young age. I truly didn't think that. I was just curious at 16 years old and curious about all the ways there was to make money and all the opportunities there was just from social media and online. Because if I didn't take that first step, I truthfully don't know where I'd be at in life. I'd probably be in college. I'd probably, you know, still be working a job that, you know, I don't want. And, you know, going to college, working a job, you know, that's not bad. And I'm not trying to say it in a negative way, but it's not something that I personally wanted to do. It's not the lifestyle that I wanted myself to have. You know, I really want a life full of freedom. I want my life to be able to take any direction that it can at any time. And I feel like in order to do that, you need to make your own stream of income in order to truly live the life that you want. Because if you don't, you're essentially living your life for someone else and their schedule. I don't really want to live my life on someone else's schedule. I'd rather come in, make my own schedule, you know, not have a capped income. And that amount of freedom truly is what, you know, gets me up every morning. It's truly what, you know, made me start my first online business, because I knew that there are people living like that, and I knew that they weren't different from me. The only thing that they were different was the amount that they knew. So I figured if I could learn from those people that I wanted to be like, that's where I wanted to be, I knew that I could create the same, you know, even better life for myself. So with all that, that's really how I started my first online business. And that was obviously about 3 years ago, or around 3.5 years ago. You know, as I said, now I'm 19, you know, still running businesses, you know, doing all that. I'll probably be doing it forever. But a big takeaway that you could really get from this video is, you know, you can start anything that you want. It doesn't matter, you know, what people think. It doesn't matter really anything else. You know, just be learning from the people that are where you want to be at in life. Because if you're taking advice from people that aren't where you want to be at with these specific things, you're gonna end up not doing it just like them. You know, there is a lot of people that told me when I first started my Instagram, you know, theme page business, people were saying, oh, you can't do that, you can't grow on social media anymore, it's all saturated, right? And that was even 3 years ago. And, you know, people are still making thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars doing that now. And if I would have listened to those same people, I would have not have done it just like them. And that's the same thing with coming into e-commerce and drop shipping. You know, I started doing this around 3 years ago, and people were saying that you couldn't do it. People were saying that it doesn't work, it's saturated. But the only people saying that were the people that couldn't do it and the people that weren't doing it. I was only listening to the people that were doing it. I was only listening to the people that, you know, where I would want to be at in life. And I feel like that's a big stepping stone, you know, in order to really get what you want. But that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you could take what I said, possibly learn something, possibly implement it, you know, in your daily life or how you think. But I'll see you guys in the next video.
I can feel the fake from a mile away. Maybe I'm just going through my phases. I can feel it changing, it's obvious. wasn't enough.